Hello and welcome to the Farmers Union pregame show. As always, I'm Ken Oda. Noah Grant is alongside. Tauros outshoot the Bruins last night 37-22, but lose 2-0.
Yeah, one of those games where, the fate probably should have been dictated otherwise. One of the few games I would say this season where the Tauros outplayed an opponent and didn't find some way to at least garner a point. Usually we've seen maybe a handful of games this year where the Tauros have maybe been not the better team, but they've been able to escape and find a couple of points. Last night was just maybe one of only two or three where they've been down. We haven't said that a lot until as of recent, and even more so where they've been down and haven't been able to claw back in any capacity. Credit Trent Wimkin last night. Very good performance for him in net. I mean, nothing you could really do. As you said last night in the broadcast, Tauros got goalied. I mean, 37 saves on 37 shots. I mean, that's more than you had in your entire career. So,
indeed, yeah. I think you look at that game last night. Some of the fancy stats that we get from NA Scouts, expected goals were 5-1 in favor of the Tauros.
Yeah.
So overall, a strong performance, just a stronger performance by Trent Wimkin.
Yeah, certainly was. Now, not for lack of trying. We've talked about this the last time the Tauros played in this building on a Friday night, they were also shut out back-to-back for the first time this season, only 3 times all year. The only other team, I believe, the Bruins were the only team to do it twice this year. Yeah. I think it was 2-0 with an empty netter down in Austin at the beginning of the season. But this type of performance was not akin to what we saw against Bismarck a couple weekends ago. The Tauros were the better team last night. As you mentioned, they should have put up at least 3 or 4, if not 5, like you said. Just one of those nights. You hope that they repeat the process, bring the same effort. Besides the scoreboard, you liked everything else about what the Tauros brought last night.
Yeah, Will Dawson, I think, stood out for me. He had a very strong game. He brought a new element to his game, a little bit more physicality than we've seen from him all season long. Jack O'Hannison led the team with 7 shots on goal. Colby Volk on the back end had 6 shots on goal as a defenseman. So there are a lot of positives, just none that went up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, well, the big challenge, too, for the Tauros, as you saw in period number 3 as well, they were dominant. Shots where I think were 12-3 was the final in that third period. But at the same time, the ice looked really tough last night. One of the few times as it gets a little bit warmer, you get closer into late February, early March, pushing into April. That's kind of a standard thing wherever you go. That's not just a Mesa Arena type thing. But because the Tauros were so dominant, they had a tough time getting pucks to settle down in the offensive zone. So that begs the question as you move into tonight. It's just so imperative to be playing with a lead, because when you're trying to chase a hockey game, the ice gets a little bit tougher. You've had, morning skates, especially as you move into the weekend, other teams playing maybe earlier in the day. You want to jump out to that lead because the ice is only going to continue to deteriorate over the course of a 60-minute game.
For sure. And, as much as we talk about how well the Tauros played, I did think that despite 37 shots on goal last night, there were some times that the Tauros were a little bit passive, giving up shooting opportunities to try and look for a better shot. And sometimes that's just the result of the opposing goalie looking dialed in, where you start to go, okay, an unscreened shot from this spot probably not going to beat him, so you try and set something else up. But I'd like to see maybe, again, you talk about the quality of the ice, passing becomes a riskier proposition. Just put pucks towards the net.
Well, exactly. When you defer, a lot of times it's usually not the best option. You have guys who are good shooters. They're below the tops of the circles. They're inside the dots at times. Shoot the puck. So many guys, you have guys that have almost touched 50 points this season. I would say if you're almost a 50-point player, maybe shoot the puck a little bit, especially when you're down 2-0.
Let's take a look at what last night's result did to the Central Division standings. Tauros now just 4 points ahead of the Bismarck Bobcats, who have an extra game in hand.
Yeah.
So that makes this weekend, getting the split more important this weekend. Aberdeen, they fell to Bismarck last night, so they stay 14 points back at the Tauros. The Bruins at 16 points back, but they pull a point ahead of St. Cloud, who lost to North Iowa in overtime.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a shock there for St. Cloud, who was in control starting period number 3. They dropped that one. They did claw back to get the extra point, but credit North Iowa. They have a chance to really be a disruptor here down the stretch. I think they see a lot of St. Cloud. They see a lot of Austin down the stretch as well, which, if memory serves, as we look at the standings, both of those teams neck and neck for that final playoff spot.
That'll bring us to our Noodles numbers. Tauros Goals per game goes down a little bit, but so does goals against per game by only allowing 2. Not often you improve that number, but take a loss. Same thing for Austin. Their goals per game actually went down by only scoring 2 last night, but because they shut the Tauros out, they still get the win.
Well, how about the fact, too, the Tauros, it will take them, well, depending on what the result is tonight, if they can flip the script, but if they allow 1, that will be their 100th goal allowed. That would have taken them 47 games to get to that point, Ken. You have to feel pretty good about that number. Like I said, the Tauros didn't play bad last night. They did everything right except solve the netminder at the other end. I would say the first goal entering tonight is imperative, and the other piece, we'll get to it as well. Special teams could have been a big boost, another major power play similar to the last time the Bruins were in this building. They did everything they could but score. Last time it was 3 power play goals in the same major opportunities. So not to be last night, but hopefully you kind of bring those numbers back up tonight.
That'll bring us to our Minotauros Booster Club players to watch. I'm going to kick it off with Chad Muller. I went around and round with who to pick tonight, and ultimately I think we saw it start to get chippy last night. We saw Will Diamond, who will be suspended for tonight, really get fired up, and that's kind of the Austin Bruins style. And I think if there's an enforcer, he isn't really a true enforcer. He plays the game well.
Yep.
But someone who thrives off the emotion of the game, it's Chad Muller.
Yeah, I had a chance to actually talk to his dad and his brother last night, and we talked about how Long Island University is getting a great commit, someone who brings that little bit of nasty to his game, and he's such an agitator stirring the pot. I think maybe a good comparable for him is I think his brother, if I remember right, one of his family members was coming from Toronto. How about maybe like a Max Domi that plays on the right side of the line, right?
Yep.
For me, it's Will Dawson to watch tonight. He was so electric last night, actually part of the reason why Will Diamond ended up out of that hockey game. But one of the things I liked about his physicality was it was on the right side of the line. He just kept his head down, he kept grinding, wasn't rewarded, had a really good look on that power play opportunity where he maybe almost had a chance to pop one, but he wasn't a guy that was jawing at guys, he wasn't in the extracurriculars. Chad Muller's definitely that guy. Will Dawson was very much more the, I'm going to show you how this is going to happen with my play on the ice. I'm not going to be talking to you. I'm just going to bring the physicality. I thought, his feet were moving. He brought a lot of speed last night. Just wasn't able to get rewarded on the score sheet.
Yeah, quiet confidence from the future Air Force commit. The physicality was surgical, right? Good, clean hits against unsuspecting opponents, and I think if we can see more of that from him down the stretch here, already a good player, already a committed player, but a guy who can really take his game to the next level and be a catalyst as this team goes down the stretch.
Absolutely, and that's something too where if you're on his team, you follow suit. You see a guy bringing that energy. Sometimes we talk about the third and fourth lines being that energy unit. Sometimes it's just one guy that needs to step up and make a play and the team follows suit.
That'll bring us to our home key group keys to the game. Noah, I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, we talked about not deferring. How about shooting first? Just being willing to take pucks, take what's given, especially with a good netminder like Wimkin. Just shoot the puck. Don't be afraid to put rubber on net, especially you have a goaltender, depending on who they start tonight, if they go back to him or not. I don't know why you wouldn't, besides maybe shot volume. 37 shots is still a lot of pucks on net. So if you can get north of 40, even 45 if you have a really good night, doesn't matter how good you are as a netminder, that's a pretty tough workload over the course of a weekend.
And for me, it's get dirty, right? You look at a lot of the chances last night, there were some clean looks. The Tauros passed up some opportunities to maybe create rebounds. I'd like to see the Tauros take advantage of the aggressiveness in Weemkin's game. We saw him come out far to challenge on a lot of shots. If you can shoot low, create rebounds, he wasn't in position to make a lot of second or third saves if the Tauros could have gotten to those loose pucks. Last night they didn't. Tonight, I think if you can continue to create those chances, get to some of those loose pucks off of his pads, there's a lot of open nets for rebounds.
And the difference with that too, a lot of shots that he did see last night, uncontested, no screens in front, not enough traffic to be creating those second chance opportunities. Final combo pick for us, make the power play work. We talked about it. That was the difference maker a couple weekends ago. Could have been something that got them within one or maybe tying that hockey game last night. Had multiple opportunities for the Tauros, especially that major power play. At some point, the whistles are going to go away and you're going to lose your opportunities, so you have to take them when they present themselves.
Yeah, they certainly missed Lettinen last night on the power play, even strength as well, but he's been a real driving force on that power play, and you could feel his absence for sure. That'll bring us to the Four Bears Casino and Lodge over-unders. Fans, you can play these along with us in the Tauros Hockey mobile app on Apple or Android. Download it, click the interactive tab, and you can win a stay and play package from our friends at Four Bears Casino and Lodge. Noah, I'll let you get your guesses in. Tauros' first period goals, 0.5.
Have to go with the over. Disappointing first period, all things considered, despite a couple of good looks yesterday. You'd like to see that improve today?
Tauros' shot differential. They outshot the Bruins by 15 last night. I've got it tonight at 5.5.
I'm going to go with the over. I think this is going to be a hungry Tauros team that's going to find a way tonight.
And then empty net goals, 0.5.
Under, because I think the Tauros win 4-1 tonight. That's my prediction.
All right, and that'll bring us to the McDonald's Tauros trivia question, which you can also play for a chance to win a free lunch from our friends at Dakota Drive McDonald's. Which Toro player and Toro staff member share a birthday? Is it Trevor Stahowiak and Cody Campbell, Weston Knox and Tyler Ebner, Jordan Gibbs and myself, or Brady James and Kobe Brault?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Kobe Brault and Brady James just because I don't think Kobe gets enough love. He's not in front of the camera right now. He looks very good tonight. You know, he needs a shout out. I think he's the guy.
All right, well, you can get your guess in as well in the Toro Hockey mobile app. We'll announce a winner during the third period tonight, but now it's time to turn it over to Josh Carlock. Tonight's production.